Hey friends, welcome back to Beer and Beauty. Woohoo! Did you guys see that? Shot out. Anyway, today we're drinking Unsettled New England Style IPA from Central Waters Brewing Company. Let's give it a taste. Cheers. It's a classic New England style IPA, nice and hoppy, but I feel like it's got a little bit of a sweetness. I feel like it's got a little notes of mango. It says it's brewed in Amherst, Wisconsin. I didn't even realize that there is an Amherst in Wisconsin. I live near an Amherst here in Massachusetts, so I guess there's Amhersts everywhere. Anyway, this tastes very juicy, very hazy. It's definitely a hazy IPA. And it's delicious, and I feel like the artwork's pretty interesting. It's got like this little watercolor painting on it, so cheers to that. But today's video is going to be another Vlogmas video. Welcome to Vlogmas. But it's going to be my Project Pan 11-month update. I have no idea how this is going to go. Actually, I have an idea. So a lot of these items, for this Project Pan, I called it Pan20by2020. I don't think I'm going to pan 20 by 2020. There's a lot of products here that I'm excited to show you the progress I did on it. I feel like there's a number of products that I did a really good job making some progress on, others not so much, for which I plan, and those products I plan to switch out for products I think I will use up. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the Project Pan. So the first item in my Project Pan, I've definitely, last time I made a check-in about this Project Pan, I shared with you that I did hit pan, and since that time I have made good progress on it. I feel like the pan has gotten a lot bigger. It's my Benefit Hoola bronzer, and still working great. The pan has gotten a lot bigger. I am going to attempt to do a split screen from the beginning of the project, because in the beginning of the project I did not have pan on this item, but now I have a lot of pan, and I feel like before the end of the year, I feel like there's going to be a really large, like larger than a quarter size pan in here. So let's do a little close-up. That is the close-up of the Benefit Hoola bronzer, and that is what we're looking like in December 2019. And by the way, I did start this Project Pan in like the end of January last year, or this year. So I feel like the finale of this Project Pan is going to be at the end of January. So just giving you a heads up about that. Next item in my Project Pan is my Toofaced Chocolate Soleil bronzer. At the beginning of this project, I did not have any pan in this, and in the 6-month check-in, I hit a little bit of pan, and since then, I have increased the amount of pan. Still loving this product, still smells great, still looks beautiful on the skin, so I'm excited to see how far we get into how much pan we get in the new year. Perhaps we'll get pan at least the size of a nickel, if not a quarter. The next item I have to share with you is my Becca Champagne Pop, which I feel like I've made a good amount of progress on, but still nowhere near hitting pan. I don't think I will hit pan on this year, but I am interested to see how much progress we make before the end of the year. And yeah, that's what it's looking like so far. I will attempt to do a split screen to show you guys what it looked like at the beginning of the year. I did try to dip into it quite a few bits, and yeah, that's where we're at with that. The third product I have to show you is my Milani Luminoso blush, which is another thing I have not hit pan on, but I am interested to compare to see how far the dome has gone. I feel like it has gone quite a bit. It is a little bit more flat. However, I don't know. I've learned recently from watching lots of Project Pan videos that it is silly to have a ton of blushes in your Project Pan because they're very hard to use, because every time you use a blush, you just use the most gentle, sparing amounts because you don't want to look like a clown. So it's hard to use up blushes, but I think I will go ahead and hold on to this product and see what it's like at the end of the year. I'll try to use it a little bit more. I still love it. It still looks gorgeous. It survived my declutter recently. I recently posted a blush declutter, so this one's doing well. So I mentioned earlier how blushes are like some of the hardest things to pan, and I'm realizing at this point in the year that it was a mistake to add these two palettes into my project pan. I am never going to use these up. They still look pretty much new. This one has not been touched really. This one I used a little bit. I've touched it a little bit. This is my Morphe 9B palette. The other one was the 9N palette. And the fact that I added two blush palettes into my project pan was just a mistake. It was just never going to happen, especially because these blushes are so pigmented that it is absolutely necessary to only go in with the tiniest, most sparing amount to get these to work. It was just never going to happen as far as hitting pan on these blush palettes. So instead of trying to pan on these further, I'm going to switch them out. And the item I think I'm going to switch it out with is my Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Airbrush Finish Powder in the shade Fair. This is something that I did not even try to hit pan on this year, but I did. There she is. I got quite a bit of pan actually in here. And part of the reason that I hit pan on this item is because there's just not a ton of product in here, but at the same time, I also love it. I also think this is a gorgeous powder, and I use it in my kit quite a bit, and then I sanitize it, and I can use it on myself as well. And I tend to go pretty heavy-handed into this powder because it's not a powder that's easy to overdo it with. It doesn't ever look cakey or powdery. And if it does, a little setting spray just fixes it, and I'm interested to see how much more pan I can get before the next check-in. The next item is also another item that it was just never going to happen on with this palette, though I did use it quite a bit for these items. This is my Smashbox Masterclass palette, but my dream all along was to use these eyeshadows and these blushes a lot more. I barely use them. I think I might have used them like twice since the last check-in, but I did manage to use these creams quite a bit more. And there is quite, I guess you could say there's pan here. There's pan on these creams. Before the last check-in, there was creams, these contour creams had not been used, and color correctors got used quite a bit as well. I've already decided that I'm going to be decluttering this palette before the end of the year. And I'm kind of having a change of heart, actually, because I did use these creams since the last time, and I did hit pan on some of these creams. You know what? I thought I was going to switch out this palette because I already plan on decluttering it. Before I move, I will be decluttering this palette, but I think I'm going to hold on to it for the rest of the year to see how much more pan I can get on those creams, because I did hit pan on them, and I'm interested in doing more cream contours, so that's where we're at with that. The next product that I have to show you is my Hourglass Ambient Lighting palette, and I do use this quite a bit, but the thing is, there's just a lot of product in here. These baked kind of like highlighting shades, they just take a long time to flatten out, but I do feel like I did make a ton of progress on this shade right here, so I'm going to try to do a bit more of a close-up here. But I definitely feel like since the beginning of the year, the divot in this shade has definitely deepened. Like, I still don't think that I'm going to hit pan, but it is still exciting and interesting to see how much progress I'm able to make on this, so I am still interested in keeping it in my project pan and see how far we get before the end of the year, because I do use this pretty often. Like, I'll use this several times a week, and I actually even use it pretty heavy-handedly, so I am interested to see how far we get before the end of the year. The next product I have to show you is my Benefit Porefessional Primer. I was actually really hoping to have used this up by now, but the thing is, I've gotten more primers in through my BoxyCharm, so I've just been kind of more interested in using those. But I'm gonna try to just flatten it out. Ooh, here we go. Well, I guess I'll go ahead and show you what the texture's like. I feel like it pills quite a bit. It's still nice and smoothing, and it smooths out your complexion, but because this is getting pretty old, I feel like it It's way more than a new product ever would. I tried to squeeze out any air that I could, and it's pretty close to empty, and I feel like before next check-in I could get it nice and empty. There it is. I definitely feel like you can tell that there's less in here than there was last check-in, and certainly since the beginning of the year, so who knows what it's going to end up looking like. We'll see. But yeah, that is the Benefit Porefessional, and I am going to hold on to it and see how far we get before the end of the year. And here's another product that I still have not used up, but some progress has been made. This is my Smashbox Photo Finish Primer. This is like the very original formula. I don't know if you can tell, but I definitely feel like there's less in here than there was last time. I don't think I'll be able to use this up before the end of the year, because the way I use it is I tend to use it just in very small areas, like just on the nose, just to smooth out like fine lines around the eyes. And I also use it as like a magic eraser to clean up fallout with. You guys let me know if you'd like to see a video on that, to see what I'm talking about. Maybe I'll show you in a get ready with me. Let me just show you, like, I tend to just kind of use like that much at a time. It feels like really lovely. I actually really like the texture of this. I think people have just moved on because there's so many wonderful primers out there in the world, but I think this one's still really good. Like, I feel like people are sleeping on it. It just works so well for that trick that I mentioned. But I'm just kind of trying to squeeze out as many bubbles as I can. Show you guys how empty it looks. And yeah, I'm hoping to be able to use it up before the end of the year, but that's probably not gonna happen, but I feel like it will be almost empty before the end of the year. I'm interested to see how much progress I can make. And I feel like I talked in my last video about doing a get ready with me with just my Project Pan items, and I still haven't done that, but perhaps I'll do that soon. We'll see. So that is my Smashbox Photo Finish Primer. Next product I have to show you is my RCMA No Color Translucent Powder. Last check-in, I hadn't really even used this very much at all because I had a problem with packaging. The packaging was just extremely inconvenient to use, but now it looks like it's halfway gone, and that's partially because I dispensed a bunch of this product into this container. This used to be a Laura Mercier powder. I used up the Laura Mercier powder, and I put some of this RCMA No Color Translucent powder, and throughout Halloween and throughout all the different gigs I did, this did come in handy quite a bit. Even though some of this product is still in here, a lot of this did get used. So I'm gonna go ahead and make a little line because this is where we were at last time, and I'm gonna mark it to show you guys where we're at for the 11-month check-in. Where's my marker? Oh, here it is. Okay, here's the new mark that I made for the 11-month check-in, and I can't wait to see how much we get used up before the end of the year. Like I said, there's a ton of product in here, so I don't picture myself using this whole thing up, but I do picture myself using a lot more up, and I'm just interested to see how far we get. Okay, the next product I have to show you guys are my Makeup Forever HD foundation sticks. I think it was probably silly of me to just include 2 foundations and count it as one. This should count as 2 items. One of these I used during winter, one of these I used during summer. I feel like my summer shade, this is the darker shade, I feel like this one really got down low. It's very possible that I could use this up before the end of the year. And I do love this foundation. It's definitely, I'm wearing it on my face today, and it still looks lovely. This is the lighter shade. There's definitely a lot more of this one. I don't think I'll use up this one, but the darker shade I could possibly still use up. Even though I'm using more of the lighter shade these days, just because it's winter, it's closer to my skin tone. I do use the darker shade around the parameters, and you know, the light shade is still a little bit too light, so I like to mix in the darker shade, at least a little bit of it, to just get a little bit closer to my skin tone. But yeah, I'm really close to using up a foundation. I'm so excited. And because it is winter and it's drier, I am more inclined to reach for this more hydrating foundation than I have in the past. So yeah, I'm really interested to see the split screen of these guys. That is where we're at with the Makeup Forever HD foundation sticks. Okay, so in the last check-in, originally in this project I had the Toofaced glitter glue, which I was not using, so I decided in the last check-in to switch it out for these guys. And these are almost empty. They're not quite empty yet, but they're so close. Like, let me try to squeeze out a little bit of the air in this guy. This is where we're at with this guy. It is very close to empty. It's very possible that I use this up before the end of the year. Especially because I'm intending on doing a lot of Vlogmas videos. This is the Lorac eyeshadow primer that came with my palettes. And this is the Smashbox Photo Finish eyeshadow primer. And this one's almost empty too. Like, this is almost respectively empty, but there's like maybe like 10 uses left in here because you only need to use a little bit on your eyes. But these could very well be emptied out before the next check-in. But yeah, that's where we're at for the 11-month check-in. The next product I have to show you is my Inglot gel eyeliner. It's not really close to hitting pan, and the thing is, it is beginning to kind of dry up, but I definitely feel like a good amount of progress has been made. There's definitely a big dip into this little guy, and I am wearing it on my eyes today, but you can't see it because my eyelashes are in the way, but I am wearing it today. I'm interested to see how far we can get before the end of the year. I'd like to repurchase this eyeliner at the end of the year because it's just so smooth and awesome when it's new. It's just beginning to become dried up and just behaving very differently. I do have the Duraline, so I can soften it up using the Duraline a little bit, but yeah, I can definitely tell that the integrity of it is a little different nowadays, but I am trying to get my money's worth out of this product and use as much of it as I can before I replace it. That is where we're at for the 11-month check-in for the Inglot gel eyeliner. Okay guys, I can't wait to show you guys the progress I've made on this palette. If you follow a lot of panning accounts, you're gonna be not that impressed, but for the first time in my life, I have hit pan on not one, but 2 shadows in this palette. And what's interesting is when I see other people pan this palette, I do not see them pan antique bronze. I love antique bronze for like smoking out the lower lash line, and that's what I use it all the time for on almost anybody. Like, this color is a beautiful color to smoke out the lower lash line with, and then of course tempera is a great color for like the brow bone, and it's like a nice little setting shade. It's got this lovely sheen to it. It's definitely been a palette that has gotten quite a bit of use. I'm just trying to get a good close-up for you guys. Some shades still have not been touched. Realgar has only been used like once or twice, and but this part of the palette has gotten quite a bit of use, I think. Cypress Umber I use quite a bit, and yeah, 2 pans. I don't know if I'll hit any more pan in this palette. Maybe, just maybe, Vermeer might get a little pan. I do use that as like highlighting and different stuff like that, but I don't know. I've never hit pan on an eyeshadow palette before, and I would like to repurchase this palette one day because at this point I've had it for over a year, and the quality of this palette is just kind of changing. It just feels more powdery than when it was new. It used to be a lot more buttery, but I still enjoy it. Still looks beautiful. Still lasts pretty well. It just feels different. The texture is different these days. So happy to have hit some pan on an eyeshadow palette for once in my life. That is Modern Renaissance. Next product I have to show you is my Lorac Pro 2 palette. Yeah, I did hit pan on this palette as well. Just in the setting shade, unfortunately, but that's better than nothing. And I am excited to show you guys that I have created some new pan. I feel like before the next check-in, it's possible that I might hit pan on light brown. It's possible I might hit pan on rosé, but I think that's all we have for possibilities of more pan. And I definitely feel like the pan in buff will be bigger before next check-in. But yeah, I still love this palette. It's still like a go-to for me in my kit. It's just, all these colors are just the colors that a lot of brides and people who are new to makeup that hire me to do their makeup, these are the colors that they feel comfortable wearing, so it's the colors I end up using, and I've gotten to know them really well over the years. And yeah, this is like a very well-rounded palette. We got the row of shimmers, the row of mattes, and it's got a nice variety of tones. and you can do a lot with this palette, so an excellent palette for freelancing. And the other palette I wanted to share with you guys is the Lorac Pro one, and it's also a palette I was able to finally hit pan on. All three of these palettes, I did not have any pan on in the last check-in, in the 6-month check-in, but this one I very recently hit pan on taupe. So that is really exciting. That means I hit pan on 3 palettes this year, so that is unprecedented for me. That's brand new for me. Just want to do a quick close-up. Y'all, is focusing at all? Is that focused at all? As you can see, taupe right there has got some pan. I don't know if any other pan is possible. Perhaps sable, if I use this palette a lot, but I don't know. I don't think I will, just because I do want to get use out of some of my other palettes. I have had a lot of palettes enter my life recently through BoxyCharm and such, so I want to use those. Maybe light bronze if I do any gigs, but I doubt I'm going to be doing a lot of gigs before the end of the year. But yeah, this palette is actually even, I don't know if this is better as a freelance palette, but these deepening shades become very handy when I'm on the job. This is obviously a great transition shade, which is why I've hit pan on it, and these shimmers are really essential for using on bridal clients as well as just anybody that's kind of new to makeup and wants to go in for like just an effortless romantic soft look that's not too much. Next product I have to share with you is my Viseart Neutral Mattes palette. This was just gonna be unrealistic for me to pan. These pans are huge. There's a ton of product in here, and even though these are colors I use on clients a ton, like when I'm freelancing, the truth of the matter is they're so pigmented that I only use the tiniest little bit. So I do use the black a lot for like setting eyeliner and what have you, but it was just not realistic for me to get anywhere near hitting a pan on this palette. But it was interesting trying, and I still love this palette, and I'm gonna hold on to it, and I still use it in my kit pretty often, but I usually will only use a couple shades very gently, so that's why there's just not even like divots on this product at all. So I'd like to switch it out for something that I feel like I could hit some pan on. And the product that I'm switching it out for is this tiny bronzer from the Beauty Crop. I got this in an Ipsy bag earlier this year, and I love this, and I use it pretty generously, and it's already kind of changing. It says that you can have it for 12 months, but there's like this strange texture in it. And I've actually loved and used this quite a bit already, and I already kind of can tell that there's like rivets forming from pan, because what I love about this bronzer is that it's very difficult to overdo it with this. You can really pile it on and it still looks super natural. So I'm interested to see if as much as I love this bronzer, I love being able to use it a lot, and I'd like to see if I can hit some pan on this, to have some pan to show you guys at the end of the year. So yeah, that is the 11-month check-in, and maybe in a month or two, we'll have some pan on this little guy. We'll see. Okay friends, so the next products I have to show you is my 2 Colourpop Lippie sticks that I've been working on panning this year. And I've used them quite a bit, but I'm curious to see how far we've come. So there's Lumiere. That's where we're at with Lumiere. One of the Colourpop Lippie sticks. The other one I have is one of my favorite colors, one of my favorite color lips. And I am wearing those 2 mixed on my lips today. And this is the color Grunge. I feel like they're pretty close. I've used up a little bit more of Grunge than I have of Lumiere. That's what it looks like right there. To see what it looks like compared to the footage from the beginning of the year. But I'd also like to compare it next to the color Grind, which I've used a little bit since the beginning of the year, but still, I think this is still my least used Colourpop Lippie. You can kind of tell that, like, yeah, there's definitely a lot more Grind than there is Lumiere. There it is. Trying to match them up closely. And there's definitely a lot more of Grind as opposed to Grunge. There it is right there. I don't suppose I'll use any lip products, which is a shame because I still feel like I haven't ever really used up a lip product in a big way. Just lip pencils. I've used up lip pencils before, but I haven't ever used up a lipstick. So unfortunately that is still not going to happen this year, as much as I did like these. And it's also interesting to see when I roll them down all the way how far they go. But yeah, I am interested to see how much I can manage to get used up before the end of the year. Okay, so we have just one last product to show you guys for this particular project, and this is my Anastasia Dipbrow in the shade medium brown. And again, this is another product that is not gonna, that's probably not gonna get any pan on. Quite a bit of progress has been made on this, but I definitely feel like it feels drier than it did at the beginning of the year, and it's like harder to use than it was at the beginning of the year. But I did develop a habit for using this quite a bit more, and it is a fun product to use, and I'm glad I put it into this project pan just to get some use out of it, but I don't think I'm gonna use it up before the end of the year. So I'd like to switch this product out for this item that, in a strange way, I have been low-key trying to pan all year long. I've had this all year long. This is my Anastasia Brow Definer in a shade chocolate. Oh, and it's actually much lower than I thought it was. So there's only about that much left, so I think it'll be very easy for me to use it up before the end of the year. And you know what? Maybe, just maybe, I will hold on to the Dipbrow and show it to you at the end of the year too, but I will focus on finishing this more so than finishing the other item, because this is just doable to finish and the other one not as doable. So that is it, friends. That is my 11-month update for my Pan20by2020 project. I am learning a lot from this project, even though, you know, I am not as good at panning as some of these other ladies are out in the panning community, or even fellas or non-binary friends. I'm not nearly as good at panning as they are, because I am a makeup artist and I have a huge collection and I don't like to use the same things over and over. I did learn a lot about panning, and it's given me a lot more perspective on why it is important to keep your collection under control, because it's not getting your money's worth. You're not getting the use you should out of so many products if you have too many. So I've definitely learned not to want nearly as many things. I have no desire, I hadn't had any desire all year long to buy any new foundations, because I knew that the foundations I had, I was never gonna pan this year. Same with primers, same with blushes. There were blushes I wanted and highlighters I wanted and bronzers I wanted, because those things are so pretty, and you know, as a makeup lover, you just want it all. As far as brow products went, and foundations and concealers and even setting powders, I haven't wanted anything new, because doing projects like this and declutters just gave me a lot of perspective throughout the year as to what it takes to get your money's worth out of these products. And I definitely want to downsize a lot, and you'll see me downsizing a lot in the coming weeks and such. So thank you so much for watching this. If you want to see the originals, I'll leave those linked down below, along with a lot of my favorite videos that I've been making. And subscribe to this channel if you'd like to see the Project Pan finale of this video, as well as what I'm up to for Vlogmas, or my declutter series, or if you'd like to hear about my no-buy year. I've been doing a no-buy year and it's almost all gone. So if you are interested in hearing my thoughts on what I learned from the no-buy year, go ahead and subscribe and hit the bell to be notified of my newest uploads. Also, I have merch. It's hand-painted merch by me. I'll leave that link down below, and I also am able to custom hand paint things for you and your family with an airbrush. If you guys wanted to place an order, I'll leave my email down below. But that is it. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me. I really enjoyed hanging out with you. And until next time, cheers. Bye!